One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Hey everybody, how you guys all doing this evening? It's a 5 o'clock show. Didn't plan on a 5 o'clock show, but President Trump says he has a big announcement, so we will all be taking part in this and listening to it. A lot of stuff even going on today, late in the day on a Friday. Just some brand new news that's breaking is it appears that John Bolton is next up in the barrel. The word is that John Bolton will be indicted next week, and of course the left is going absolutely apoplectic. They're going nuts. The dominoes are falling one at a time, just as we hoped they would. And so now the word is, because more than likely his attorneys have leaked it, his attorneys probably were contacted, that he's going to be indicted next week. So yet another one is going to be dropping very, very soon. So President Trump is due up here at any second to make his announcement. I've got the different feeds running. But I just want to let you guys know, and I'll play this right now until President Trump comes out, because I think they'll hear my question. I was invited to a press conference today. It was audio only, but it was a press conference with Steve Scalise, Mike Johnson, and we got to ask questions, and there were people from Fox and all different media people there. So maybe I'm inching my way to the White House. I hope so. Ashley got me invited to this press conference. So it's very interesting because some things that Mike Johnson says and some things that Steve Scalise says. So I'm going to start playing this now so I can hopefully to get as much of it in before President Trump comes out. Take a listen.
I would like to inform all parties that today's conference is being recorded. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. I would now like to turn the conference over to your host, Chairman August Fugler. Thank you. You may begin.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. This is Chairman August Pfluger from the Republican Study Committee, a 189-member committee, 52 years old, with a conservative mindset. And I'm proud to be joined by two former chairmen, our Speaker Mike Johnson and our leader Steve Scalise. I'll hand it to them shortly. We need your help in getting the truth out, the message of unity amongst Republicans, the message that House Republicans 3 weeks ago today voted to fund the government, voted to fund air traffic controllers in our military, Border Patrol, and other federal agencies. And standing in the way is Chuck Schumer's shutdown for political theater reasons. He has led his Senate Democrats 7 times in voting against the funding of our government. He has voted to defund the military by doing that. And I'm a former military pilot, and I remember going through a shutdown. And the thing that happens during that time is that you can't focus on the mission. You can't focus on the threat, the worldwide threat that we face, or threats that we face. Instead, our commanders today are having to focus on whether or not junior enlisted and quite frankly, all of their personnel are going to be able to make ends meet. Those that are deployed, the stress that they already endure with deployments is now tripled, quadrupled, orders of magnitude that we probably don't even understand, because now their spouses are at home, maybe with new babies, wondering if they're going to be able to put food on the table. And Chuck Schumer is continuing to stand in the way of that. We have voted to fund the military. Senate Republicans have voted 7 times to fund the military, and it's time that they come to their senses and do the right thing by America, because our enemies certainly are. They're certainly not waiting. And you know, as one senior Democrat aide was quoted, he said, "The party will not concede short of planes falling out of the sky." How sad is it that they would even say something like that? Because it is real when you think about air traffic controllers and other national security level issues that are that the Senate under Chuck Schumer's direction for his party and the radical part of their party has decided not to do the right thing. It's no wonder, and they might even be cheering, because this is the side of the party, this is the faction of the party, the radical side, that actually has voted to defund the military, that wants to defund the police. So it's no wonder that this is something that they would be cheering on. House Republicans are united. We've done the right thing. I want to turn it over to our leader, Steve Scalise. Steve, thanks for being with us.
Well, thank you, Chairman Pfluger. Really appreciate your leadership all the way through this. You know, RSC has put out a lot of alternatives through the year, how we can work with President Trump to deliver on the things we ran on, and frankly, we have been. We've been delivering big wins for the American people, and I think that's probably one of the big things that Chuck Schumer's radical left base is most upset about, is they were still unhappy with the results of the election in November. And so they were hell-bent on shutting the government down, no matter what, just to look like they were fighting President Trump and trying to stop the agenda that he was elected to deliver on. And so if you look at where we started, you go back 3 weeks ago, Speaker Johnson brought a bill to the House floor that would have kept the government open, a clean CR with no poison pills attached, just consistent funding levels based on where we've been funded, same levels that Chuck Schumer voted on in March. And when you saw Democrats make a concerted decision to shut down the government, Hakeem Jeffries whipped all of his members to vote no. And 99% of Republicans voted yes, 99% of Democrats voted no. And luckily, we had a majority and we passed the bill on our own. And that's why the House at least was able to stave off a government shutdown. And that bill, as August said, would have paid our troops. Every Democrat, with exception of one, every Democrat voted against paying our troops. Every Democrat voted against paying our Border Patrol agents or TSA agents, every federal worker. And so the bill's over in the Senate. You've seen now 7 times they've had votes, and 7 times Democrats joined with Chuck Schumer blocking the ability for that bill to get the 60 needed. And we all know what the Senate rules are. And the Democrats know that, and they know that they can block the ability for any of these kind of appropriations bills to pass. And that's why we're at this standoff. It's probably the cheapest political stunt that Chuck Schumer has pulled, strictly because he's scared to death of his political future because he's hearing that AOC is going to run against him on the left because he didn't fight Trump enough in March. And so now he's got to hold the entire American message. And it's a disgusting thing that he says every day is a better day for him. Y'all saw that quote that he made just a day and a half ago, bragging that the shutdown is good for Chuck Schumer. Well, it's not good for millions of families, including, as August said, our military men and women. About a third of them, at least a third of our men and women in uniform, live paycheck to paycheck. And come the 15th, they're about to miss their first paycheck. And if the government's not open on Monday, that paycheck doesn't get processed. And looks like the Senate's not even going to be able to vote on Monday. So that won't happen. And it's a self-inflicted wound. We're hearing that one of the things that they're holding out for is not just more spending. Schumer filed an alternative bill, $1.5 trillion in new spending, including, by the way, they get rid of the verifications we put in place to prevent illegals from getting free health care. That provision alone that Chuck Schumer wants to take away, those verifications, would cost $200 billion in health care for illegals. It's in Chuck Schumer's bill. And so we know what he's trying to do. And most Americans, if they knew the facts, they would not tolerate what's going on. And they're starting to realize it. So with that, I know we'll take a lot of questions, but let's turn it over now to the Speaker of the House, who's been doing a great job leading our conference, who's united in trying to deliver for our troops and all other federal employees, despite what the Democrats are doing to obstruct.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks so much, August. Both of you are extraordinary RSC chairmen, and I am grateful to have served in that position as well. It's a very important caucus and the largest caucus of conservatives in the Congress, the largest one there's ever been at this point, and we're grateful for all that work. Let me just say to everybody on the phone, everyone participating today has a large sphere of influence. And the reason that the three of us are taking the time to speak with you is because you're that important to this cause. What Steve just said there at the end, what Leader Scalise just said is really important. The American people need to know the facts, and the mainstream media, as August said, has been obscuring that. I mean, of course, the legacy in mainstream media, they're clearly on the side of the Democrats as usual, and they have literally been parroting the talking points of the Democrats. I mean, it's almost absurd. I had the CEO of CNN, actually Warner Brothers that owns CNN, call me to apologize the other day because when we were in our first leadership press conference, or one of the first ones, I think it was 3 or 4 days ago, they cut me off mid-sentence when I made the statement that Steve just said, that the counter-proposal of Chuck Schumer and the Democrats for the CR would fund health care for illegal aliens. It is a fact. We documented that. And when I was pointing to the exhibit to show them that it's right there on page 57, section 2141 of his counterproposal that he filed in the record, CNN cut me off mid-sentence because they didn't want to see the evidence, and they editorialized this on a news program, not an opinion show. And they said the Speaker of the House is not telling you the truth. There's no way that benefits would go to illegal aliens. They had to call and retract and apologize. But it's so egregious. They're not even pretending. They're clearly on the side of the Democrats. Why? Because they have Trump derangement syndrome, and they want to do everything they can to oppose him and his party right now. Now, here's just 2 quick facts. I don't want to reiterate what's been said. The truth is very simple, and it is very clear. This is not a complicated matter. There's two important things you need to know. What in the world would be their motivation to change the tune that they have had, in Chuck Schumer's case, literally for 4 decades? The man has served in Congress for 44 years. He has given impassioned speeches over all that time of why you could never consider shutting the government because it would be so dangerous and irresponsible. We've been playing the highlight reels. He made those impassioned speeches as recently as March of this year when he voted for the same CR. And now he's switched his tune. Why? Very clearly, he's worried about a Marxist challenge from his left flank in New York. You might have seen that Marxism is the flavor of the day in New York. They're about to elect Mamdani to be the mayor of America's largest city, the once cradle of capitalism. And Chuck Schumer is terrified because even though he is a far-left, liberal, progressive politician, he doesn't self-describe as a Marxist just yet, and he's afraid they're going to call him on it. And his day is done, and Chuck Schumer knows not how to live other than to be in the Congress, because it's all he's known his whole adult life. That's what this is about. That's the motivation. He had to show a fight, and they're willing to put real Americans in great harm because of it. And we won't repeat again all the list of harms. It's a lot. It's very dangerous. It's very irresponsible. The second thing I want you to remember, and then I'll yield for questions, this is the first time in history that this has happened. This is an unprecedented crisis for the American people, and what do we mean by that? We're familiar, generally with CRs. I mean, there's been 4 true shutdowns of the government where operations were affected for more than one business day since 1995. But this is the first time that a party has ever shut down the government over a clean CR. The continuing resolution is clean, as both of my predecessors, gentlemen, have explained today, and you all know, 24 pages in length, the bare bones minimum to keep the lights on. And why is that? Because Republicans are working very hard to restore the regular order of Congress. We are trying to get back to the way it's supposed to work, instead of governing by irresponsible omnibus spending bills that are 2,000 pages long, that are passed in a yes or down, up or down vote on the eve of Christmas every year that no one has fully read or understood because they never debated it. We're done with that. We're trying to push Congress back to the way it's supposed to work. And I'm so proud to say that we've made tremendous strides in that. We got 12 separate appropriations bills filed through the House Appropriations Committee, 3 off the floor. The Senate passed 3 appropriations bills this year. That hasn't happened in a long, long time. The bills didn't match up exactly, so we have a conference committee underway to work out the differences and get that done. The problem is our appropriators ran out of time. And the reason is because we absorbed much of the first 6 months of this historic Congress to get our one big, beautiful bill done, the reconciliation bill, the working families tax cut, which was a remarkable achievement. Even with our small margin, we got it done, but it took a lot of time and energy and effort. And so the appropriators were a little behind the 8 ball. They met together and decided they needed just 7 more weeks till November 21st to keep the lights on, to finish the appropriations process, to get us back to fiscal sanity. We ran out of time. So we passed the clean CR. We hoped that Chuck would do everything he said he's been done over the last 44 years, and he decided not to, and that's why we're in this situation. So there is one way, and one way alone, to get out of this. We need 5 Democrats in the Senate to come to their senses and do the right thing, to stop the pain, stop the mayhem, and do what they know in their hearts must be done, and that they have always done, in fact, did 13 times during the Biden administration in the previous 4 years. We're not asking for them to do anything heroic. We're asking them to do their basic responsibility, and then, when the government's reopened, we'll have all these debates about all these policy issues and everything else. I could talk a lot longer, but I won't. Rather take a few questions. So, Chairman Pfluger, I'll yield back to you.
Speaker, thank you. Your leadership, your message, the way you've unified House Republicans, as well as the Senate Republicans has been tremendous. Thank you, Leader Scalise. We will now open it up to questions, and I will yield to both the Speaker and the leader to take any answers they want.
Thank you. We will now begin the question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question, please press star 1, unmute your phone, and record your name and media outlet. Your name and outlet is required to ask a question. If you need to withdraw your question, please press star 2. Again, to ask a question, please press star 1.
After the tone, please state your name and company, followed by the pound sign.
Barry Cunningham from Fanfare.
Thank you.
Your line is open.
Much for everyone for having this call and inviting me on. I appreciate it. This question is for Speaker Mike Johnson. It's in regards to comments that were made earlier today about possibly, I guess I would say, Chuck Schumer holding out until the No Kings rally. Can you give us a little bit more details on what you're hearing on that front? And do you also think that Chuck Schumer might also be holding out, given that President Trump has really taken an aggressive approach to go after Antifa and the members of its group?
Yeah, this is Chairman Pfluger. Not sure if Speaker Johnson's line is still open.
Mike, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, gentlemen.
Oh, there you go. Did you hear the
Let me-
question from Brianna?
Yeah, I heard it. Thank you, Brianna. Listen, Leader Scalise and I refer to this rally as the Hate America rally, not by its other name, because it's going to collect all the radical leftists in their party. You're going to have the Marxists there. You're going to have the Antifa advocates. Of course, you'll have the pro-Hamas wing. All the radical left will descend upon the National Mall in this one big cavalcade. And I tell you what, that has Chuck Schumer frightened to death. I mean, we have been hearing that in the back rooms among the Senate Democrats, they were discussing this openly, and they were terrified to reopen the government before all of those radical leftists show up on the National Mall, because it would be a big price to pay. They're afraid they can't take the incoming, they can't take the criticism. Chuck Schumer withered under that for doing the right thing back in March when he voted for the last CR. Google that, and you'll get so many hits it'll take you all night to read. So that's why he's doing this, and we believe that that's probably good intel. They have no intention whatsoever of reopening the government anytime before October 18th, when the Hate America rally takes place. It's disgusting to us. It is stunning that they are willing to put all of these American citizens, hardworking people, through all the harm, through all the stress of missing paychecks and having flights canceled and having Border Patrol agents, TSA, and everybody else, air traffic controllers, working without pay, and all the services, health services that are being stalled, and flood insurance policies in the middle of a hurricane season. I mean, there are so many terrible effects of this, and they seem not to care. Why? And I summarized it as best I could, as simple as I could, in the joint press conference I had with Leader Thune, but
close to levels that in April fanned fears of a steep recession and a financial.
A few hours ago, Chuck Schumer is hurting real Americans for his own political survival. That is a fact that nobody can refute.
Good afternoon. Now that Russ' vote has begun the reduction in force.
Fair enough. Operator?
Rebecca from Blaze News, your line is open.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for organizing this call. I have a question.
All right, before she starts talking, just want to let you guys know I had never done this before, and so I'm hitting point one, star 2, and I start asking my questions, and it wasn't my turn yet. The other thing is, if you're hearing noise in the background, that's not me right now. I didn't know they were recording my little dog barking and stuff in the background. So if you hear the dog or you hear him clicking, I was waiting until it was my turn, and I'm doing all kinds of work, and I didn't know it was picking up that because I had even hit mute, but for some reason it took it. So there may be some ancillary noise. I'll go ahead and apologize for that for right now. Also, it is 5:23 and President Trump has not come out. I thought when I cut in there that was him at the White House. He has not come out yet. So let's continue. I'm glad I got this.
For the speaker, if I may. So Russ Vogt just tweeted a couple hours ago that the rifts are underway. Could I just get a reaction to these layoffs? And also, do you think this will be sufficient enough pressure for Democrats to actually cave and reopen the government?
Well, we'll have to see. They've not. The pressure thus far hasn't moved them at all. They seem to be enjoying it. In fact, as was noted earlier, Chairman Pfluger noted that Chuck Schumer infamously now said, "The longer this drags on, the better it is for us," meaning his party, not the American people. But yeah, I saw that. I mean, we knew that it was coming. I don't think anybody in the White House takes any pleasure in this at all. I have spoken to the president about this myself. Of course, I've spoken to Russ Vogt as well. They're in an unenviable position because whomever is the president and whomever is the director of the Office of Management and Budget in a scenario like this has to do this. They have to triage the federal government. In other words, the funding streams having been turned off by the Democrats. They now have.
Let me also explain. They couldn't hear him because unless you're the one talking, you're muted. So Midas is having his field day here at the house, and he's barking, but they can't hear it, so it wasn't interrupting anybody else. It was just interrupting me and messing up my recording. But nonetheless, let's continue.
To sit down and determine what are the most essential policies, personnel, priorities of the government, and what are less essential. They have to. They don't have a choice. And so whomever is sitting in those two seats, at the Resolute desk or at the Office of Management and Budget, they're obviously going to view that problem set with a certain set of lenses. If you had liberal Democrats in charge, they would see those priorities very differently than we do. But that is what you'll see reflected, I think, in the whips and the rest of the actions that will be forced upon the executive branch of our government by Chuck Schumer and the Democrats. The easiest way to make this stop is for 5 of them to come to their senses in the Senate, join Republicans, and reopen the government.
Come here. Thank you so much.
Next, Amber Joe from the Daily Wire.
Hello, thank you so much for inviting us to this call today. This question is for Speaker Johnson. President Trump has said that he doesn't know who is leading the Democrats. Who do you think is in charge?
I think it's the leaders of these radical leftist groups that are leading Chuck Schumer around as if he has a nose ring. I mean, they are. It's the most radical fringe voices in the party. I think they took over the party during the Biden administration because he was personally checked out, as we all now know. I think they guided and pushed so many of the decisions of that administration, and I think they're feeling empowered. They tried to descend upon the head of Chuck Schumer in March when he voted the right way to keep the government open, and he is no longer willing to submit to that pain, and so he's going to inflict pain on everybody else. I don't think they have an identified leader in the party. They don't have a platform they can run on. They don't have a policy that is palatable to the American people. They were roundly refuted, of course, in the last election, and they're wandering in the wilderness. So when you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. That's what you're seeing right now. So I would challenge them to name the leader of their party. I don't think they can. They don't have one. And it's a dangerous thing for the American our country to have the most radical fringe groups in America guiding policy for one of the two major parties.
Matt Bonnie's about to become the leader of the party. I mean, there's no doubt he is speaking for the core of the new far-left base of the Democratic Party.
I completely apologize. It sounds horrible, but we had a repairman here at the exact time that I was doing the press conference, and like I said, it's not. They couldn't hear him, but it was picking up on my end on the recording, and I was trying to chase the little Mexican around and get him to be quiet, but he doesn't like when there's people in the house working on stuff. So I apologize. I promise it won't happen again. And it did interfere with them, so it's not like they're going to who is this guy Barry with dogs in the background? So to them, it came across as a normal question because Midas finally shut up when it was my turn.
The power center of the Democratic Party is now on the socialist left. It's about to be the leader of that group, and they're either endorsing him or quietly meeting with him, but there is not a single prominent Democrat who's denounced the vile things he said about Israel, about October 7th attacks from Hamas 2 years ago, any of that, because they're scared to death of him because he's about to be the leader of their party.
No doubt. And let me just add real quickly that some people say, oh, well, that's great news for Republicans. Now you have a foil. You can explain the distinction between your side and theirs. While that's true in the short term, it makes the contrast very clear. It's terribly dangerous for the future of our country to have a rise of actual open Marxists now being elected to office. And it's something that we've got to confront head on.
And I'll jump in, Chairman Pfluger here. You obviously see a lack of leadership, elected leadership. Where are the veterans that served to stand up and say enough is enough? Where are the Democrats who are veterans to jump in, and those that have kids that are serving to jump in and say enough is enough here? Why are we not doing the right thing? And it's because they're caving and bowing down to this radical side that has shown that they have the aptitude for violence, that has shown that they have a desire for an anarchist mentality, and it's really dangerous. I think they've also miscalculated on President Trump. I mean, what a contrast between what they're doing, which is obstructing any and all prosperity and security measures that the United States could take, and here's President Trump who's jumping in and he's he's closing a major and historic peace deal in the Middle East, bringing together so many different countries and solving an issue that nobody else could solve. There's only one leader in the world that could solve this, and it's President Trump, and he's doing so despite the obstruction from the radical left side of the Democrats. So it's no wonder that the only tactic they have, they thought, and they miscalculated, well, maybe they could stop him if they shut the government down, and he just keeps on going, and we keep on making progress on the agenda items that the American people so desperately elected him to do. We'll take the next question, operator.
Thank you. We have Barry from Fanfare Media. Your line is open.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the invite. First, before I ask a question, I just want to say you guys, I watch your press conferences every single day. I broadcast them, and everybody is behind you. Your messaging is on point, so just keep going. So the question I have is that now that Roosevelt has begun the reduction in force, are these reductions going to be temporary or permanent, and will they become negotiating strategy once the Democrats end up coming to their senses?
Well, I'll answer first and tell you I'm not 100% certain. There were different ideas being floated about, and I've been so busy today I haven't had a chance to read into the specifics of the risks that have now commenced. So I'm not sure if those are layoffs or if they're permanent terminations. I don't know, but I can tell you that there's a lot of thoughtful deliberation and legal research that's gone into this, and they're not moving haphazardly. There was an option, of course. I suspect that OMB could have come out as soon as the government shut down, immediately with, draconian action. They didn't. In fact, the president, it's important to point out, doesn't want hardworking federal employees or people who do really important and meritorious jobs to be harmed in any way because of the Democrats' political games. He certainly doesn't want, for example, women, infants, and children who rely upon the nutrition programs that have been installed to be harmed, or veteran services or the like. So by way of example, on the WIC funding, they creatively found a legal avenue to continue that funding. They don't want to use these people as pawns in a political game like the Democrats do. The president is benevolent in that regard, and they figured out how to use tariff revenue dependent upon a 1930s era statute to bridge the tariff revenue and to allow it to pay for and continue the women, infants, and children nutrition program. So an example of the difference between the Republicans and the Democrats, the president trying heroically to take care of the people while the Democrats want to use them as pawns.
Thanks for your answer.
Thank you.
Liz from Fox News Digital. Your line is open.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for holding this press call. I had a question for the leadership as well.
All right, so that was me there. Thank you, President Trump. They've got the White House. Everybody seems to be coming in. So far, it looks like it's RFK Jr., a lot of the guys from the health department, Howard Lutnick, Glenn Youngkin is in attendance. So I'm not sure what this is about. But I just wanted to apologize for the noise, the dog. I will now know that it still records you, even though their side doesn't hear it. And I just want to thank Ashley for getting that to set up. And it was very interesting. I've never talked directly to somebody that high in the government, and I'm looking forward to doing it some more. So President Trump is due out any second at this point. I guess this guy is called the Sergeant of Arms. They're waiting to bring him out. Here, let me show this to you so you guys can see it as well. Where am I? Oh, don't have to because he's coming out as we speak. Looks like the President of the United States is in the house. All right, let's get to it.
Nice to have you. There's a big announcement. We have a lot of big announcements. They're sort of all big announcements, actually. It's wonderful to be in the Oval Office. I think you probably like it the best. You like it the best for press conferences? I sort of do. But today I'm excited to announce another historic achievement in our quest to lower drug prices for all Americans. Prices have come way down. We've gotten prices way down for groceries, for oil especially. Today we broke $60 a barrel. We think the oil is going to be under $2 a gallon very soon. That's about 70% lower than what it was just a year ago. So that's a big thing. And when the oil comes down, everything comes down. It's pretty beautiful to watch. AstraZeneca, the largest pharmaceutical manufacturer in the United Kingdom, is committing to offer Americans major discounts on their vast catalog of prescription drugs, one of the great companies, by the way, and a most favored nation's pricing clause. So most favored nation is you're going to pay whatever the lowest price anywhere in the world is. That's what you're going to be paying. And I had it going very well in my first term, but we were interrupted by a rigged election, so I was unable to carry it forward. We started it, but this was something one of the reasons I wanted to run again was we had to have favored nations where the world is not going to be paying just a tiny fraction of what we were paying. I want to thank CEO Pascal Soriot, a very highly respected, one of the most respected men in business and certainly in the industry, for joining us today, as well as Secretary Howard Lutnick, Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., CMS Administrator Mehmet Oz, FDA Commissioner Marty McCary, and Virginia Governor, a man who's done an incredible job. And good luck with the upcoming election. I know you're working very hard. I watch you. You're right there. He's out there working. He wants to see that young woman win, and the Attorney General, who I endorsed, et cetera, et cetera. Glenn Youngkin. Thank you very much, Glenn. Thank you for being here. For many years, Americans have paid the highest prices anywhere in the world for prescription drugs by far, many times the amount that other countries are paying is ridiculous. Upon taking office, I signed an executive order to make sure that Americans pay no more for prescription medications than the lowest price or the same drug in other locations in developing nations. Today, AstraZeneca is committing to offer all of their prescription medications to Medicaid at most favored nations prices. In other words, the lowest price anywhere in the world, that's what we get. A move that will save American taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars each year. And I tell the story, Glenn, that in my first term, I had the honor of being the first president in 28 years to lower drug prices during the course of the year. And we actually did, and I was so proud of myself. We called a news conference. I announced it. It was 1/8 of 1%. 1/8 of 1%. Now drug prices are going to be going down 100%, 400%, 600%, 1,000% in some cases. But for 1/8 of a cent, Bobby, think of that. I was so proud because for 28 years nobody had done it. And now it's, I think back to that, I said I shouldn't have had that news conference. But it is true. I was the only one that did it, but it was not very much. And now we're going to get, in some cases, 1,000% reduction. This is going to have a huge impact on everything from Social Security to Medicare to Medicaid, anything where they're buying any prescription drugs. It's going to have an incredible impact. It's going to lower itself greatly. AstraZeneca will also list many of their most popular drugs online at TrumpRx.gov. TrumpRx. I don't know why they put the name Trump. I did not tell them to do it, but I'm honored to let them do it. That's true, actually. That heavily reduced most favored nations cost. Americans can expect discounts, and as I said, it could be in many cases way over 100%. And as an example, one particular drug that's hot, very hot, 654% on inhalers, COPD and asthma, as well as certain diabetic medications. They're going to be averaging about 654% reduction in price. You believe that one? The Democrats will say, well, he should have gotten more. It's crazy. In addition, all medications AstraZeneca introduces to the American market going forward will also be sold at these heavily discounted rates. Furthermore, AstraZeneca will invest $50 billion in the United States over the next 5 years for research and development of new drugs and to onshore manufacturing facilities across the country, like the new plant that broke ground yesterday in Charlottesville, Virginia, where the governor attended. They had a tremendous group of people attending. It's going to have 3,600 jobs just to begin with. And that's going to be a fantastic plant. I saw a picture. It's going to be the best, right? You can't get any better. This is a tremendous victory for Virginia and for American patients and for everything, for the country. It's an amazing company to have coming over to the United States in such a big way. That's going to be a big part of the company. Presidents have promised for years to lower the cost of health care, but my administration is actually the first to do it and do it substantially, do it at numbers that nobody thought, even I thought, were not possible. When you think of it, if you got a 1%, 2%, 5%, that's good. You did a good job. We're talking about 100, 200, 300, 500, 700 in some cases, some big, big numbers. And the largest drug companies in the world are working with us to make this a reality. And so I look forward to being at your opening of that incredible facility. I hear something, and it's in a great location, Len, right? One of the beautiful locations. So I'd now like to ask Secretary Kennedy to say a few words, followed by Dr. Oz, Pascal, Governor Youngkin, and we'll take some questions afterwards. Would anybody like to have some questions? Yes? Oh, I'm shocked. Okay, we'll take them right after, okay? Bobby, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I talked about this a little yesterday in the cabinet meeting, but it's worth repeating because it shows this historical achievement as really monumental. When I was in my confirmation process, virtually every Democratic senator showed me their preoccupation with making sure that we completed, that I was going to continue to get a commitment from me to continue the IRA drug price negotiations. That the IRA required the Democrats, while the President Biden was in the first year of the IRA, to negotiate 10 drug prices down. And then I was supposed to, my first year, negotiate 15 and 15 every year thereafter, and that was their plan. The Democrats claimed that they had a 22% reduction, and that was a great success. When we actually looked at that, when I came into the agency, we realized we were actually paying more for 8 of the 10 drugs. The 22% reduction was off of list price, and Medicare ended up paying more for 8 of the drugs, equal for the 9th, and about a 2% discount on the 10th drug. So that was the plan, and that's what they did. We are continuing the IRA negotiations, but thanks to the President's leadership, we have achieved something extraordinary here, which is a dream that he's had for 20 years because he's the common sense president. He saw something 20 years ago. He learned that we were paying 3, 4, 5, sometimes 10 times for the same drug as they were paying in European countries. Some of these drugs were manufactured in facilities in New Jersey and then sold for 1/10 the price in Great Britain, in London or Paris, that Americans were being charged for them here. He saw that this was unfair. Every Democratic president, every Republican president has said that this was the gold standard. This is what we needed to do. Nobody's been able to change it. And when we came in, I have to say I was pessimistic about doing MFN. Dr. Oz was pessimistic. Our staff, John Brook and Chris Klump and the other people we brought in were all pessimistic. The president saw something that we didn't see, which is we had leverage. And that came through Howard and the tariffs, and we had extraordinary leverage to craft these deals. So last week we had Pfizer in, which is one of the biggest American pharmaceutical companies. Today we have AstraZeneca in with Pascal Sorios, which is one of the biggest European pharmaceutical companies. And the president asked us to do 3 things. 1, to get MFN prices. 2, to not bankrupt these companies. He understood that America has to be the center for innovation. The drug industry needs to innovate, that it's critical for its bottom line, it's critical for the health of the American people. And he asked us also to make sure that those companies would keep their promise to reshore this industry. For national security purposes, for our economy, it's critical. These companies are making these drugs in the United States. We were able to achieve all those things, and partially with the visionary help of Pascal, where is he? Of Pascal Zorias, who understood that innovation and the business doesn't work if everybody is not pulling the oars, if everybody doesn't have the skin in the game. The whole world was riding on our shoulders and riding on our dime. 70% of pharmaceutical revenues comes from this country. We only have 4.2% of the world's population, and we were paying for 80 or 90% of the innovation here, and the rest of the world was a free rider. And Pascal understood that that's not fair, and it's not a good, sustainable, long-term business model. And he came to the table. He was one of the first leaders to come to the table. I want to thank him for his vision, for operating with us in good faith. And this is an extraordinary deal. Not only that, but as the president just pointed out, he is also reshoring this industry here. He has 19 facilities already operating in this country. He has this other facility in Marl County that Dr. Oz went with Governor Youngkin and broke ground on yesterday. He has a second facility that is under construction in Kendall Square in Boston, another facility in Rockville, Maryland, and a fourth facility in Copper, Texas, right outside of Dallas-Fort Worth. And he's got plans for building many more in this country, thanks to the president's leadership, to the tariffs, and to the common sense the president has demonstrated in his own commitment to make drug prices lower for hardworking Americans. So I want to thank the president for your visionary leadership. I want to thank Dr. Oz for his part, and Marty McCary in negotiating this deal. Dr. Heidi Overton, Theo Merkel, Chris Klump, and John Brooks, who all played critical parts in the negotiation. And of course, Howard Lutnick, who was the key to these negotiations. Who do we bring up now? Dr. Haas.
Thanks, Secretary.
He'll take your place, Pascal.
Oh, Pascal, I get to introduce Pascal, which I'll do with great joy and honor. So the world is watching as President Trump tries to make peace in every place he can go. But at the same time, President Trump is putting peace into the hearts of Americans and bringing peace of mind to them, especially Americans who cannot afford their medications. And just to put a number on this, as he releases us from the bondage of paying 3 times more for the exact same product made in the same factory, in the same pill box, in the same instruction manual overseas, rather in this country than we pay overseas, it creates an opportunity for us because, Mr. President, you're turning the art of the deal into the art of the heel. And that is something that you're going to witness today. And it's the second, we have more coming, but this is a very important one because I want to set the stage here. And Mr. Secretary, you're too modest. Secretary Kennedy did have a vision to push hard on this. He understood we could give the right medications to the right people at the right time. And there is nothing more maha than giving folks life-saving medications in a timely fashion so you prevent illnesses and treat other ones that have already occurred. You save lives that way. That literally is what was on the line as we began negotiating these. So let's set the stage. Where are we right now? Why this order? Last week in this very room, President Trump welcomed the CEO of Pfizer, and that company, a leading U.S. pharmaceutical company, pledged to provide exactly what the president promised. Massive discounts to allow us to have most favored nation drug pricing in this country so we don't allow our people to pay more than folks overseas. And this was unthinkable even 7 months ago, when we came into office. And Americans now have the ability to do that, but we needed to prove it was scalable. So we went to AstraZeneca, which is the leading pharmaceutical company, a leading company in the entire world, but a massive opportunity in this march to MFN, a march to most favored nation drug pricing. And to have this message land clearly, we needed to make sure that the president's demand for fair drug pricing was heard all around the globe. And I actually think the single most powerful tool we had was the president, because people take him seriously. And some of the things that they were hearing overseas were alarming them enough that they began to realize the jig was up. So let's talk about the deal specifically. What are John Brooks, if you could be my Vanna White, please. John back there is Theo, Vince, Heidi were parts of the team. There are other members of the team I'll speak of in a second. So these are the 5 deal points. This is what Trump RX, by the way, which just launched, TrumpRx.gov, which was a unanimous name, by the way, Mr. President. He was not involved in picking the name, but it was not a difficult one to land on. We thought it had a catchy element to it. All primary care medications sold by AstraZeneca are going to be available on Trump RX, which means no more gaming, no more middlemen. Starting early next year, when you go to the website, you'll be able to see a marketplace. We're not selling the drugs. We're just making information available to everyone so you go to the right place to buy the right medication. Second, drugs for lung diseases are discounted massively, and that's over here on this line. The president highlighted 650%. They're significant discounts, and these are medications. We just picked the ones for lung disease and one for metabolic syndrome, diabetes, but there are others that are included. We have most favored nation pricing for everyone who is on Medicaid in this country. That's why Governor Youngkin is able to do backflips with his nimble 6'6" physique. Because for governors, this is a massive problem. If Medicaid prices continue going up, it crowds out other social services, which he'll speak to. We also have MFN for all new prescription drugs. Mr. President, by the time this term is done, 95% of all drugs sold in America, branded drugs and generic, will be available at a most favored nation drug pricing. Americans are going to benefit if the prices drop abroad. So Secretary Lutnick is going to make sure that if we get better prices for these companies from our partner countries overseas, the American people see those benefits, and there's going to be onshoring of manufacturing. And as has been mentioned, I stood with Governor Youngkin and Pascal Soriot as we broke ground yesterday in Charlottesville, Virginia, a massive $4 billion facility. That's the hard hat, Mr. President. I know you like construction, so that was all I could bring back. But there was a lot of remarkable energy. And here's what that event really does. It sends a signal. It sends a signal for all countries around the world to stop freeloading off American innovation. It's done. It's not going to happen anymore with this president. And if you aren't picking up your end of the bargain, then you're going to be welcoming a lot of more companies to leave your shores and allow us to welcome them into our shores as they open up manufacturing facilities here. And for all the pharmaceutical companies out there, we're talking to all of you, pick up a shovel. This is a great place to build a facility, as AstraZeneca has shown us, and I think it has a wonderful opportunity in the future as well as this country continues to support the innovation Secretary Kennedy spoke about, because we're not compromising that at all. We're just getting fair prices for the American people. To the team. Tough negotiations, Mr. President. You know how hard they can be. You can't get there without world-class negotiators, and we are blessed by individuals to work with the AstraZeneca team who are killers, head-to-head. And why? Because talented people out of the private sector are coming into government to serve this president in a generational opportunity that they feel in their heart will make a difference. John Brooks is part of that team. Chris Klump, Inma Hernandez, numerous other folks contributed as well. But we're open for business. And if you want a great position and a patriot, like the folks who negotiated these deals, please consider coming with us, because the president has made it clear that you will make a difference in government. Finally, I want to thank Pascal Soriot. Pascal is an interesting, almost enigmatic individual. He's a CEO of AstraZeneca. He is born in France, Australian citizen, knighted in Great Britain, running their largest pharmaceutical company. So you figure out the lineage. But one thing I know is a very, very smart man who came here early on, took the president seriously, and he recognized the inherent unfairness of the European model of global freeloading off our innovation. He appreciated the challenge, and he wanted to be part of the solution. So Pascal, take it away.
Thank you so much. So, President Trump, it is really a pleasure to see you again, since I had a chance to meet you last time you visited the UK for your state visit. I know the King actually kept you late during the night, during your visit, late up at night. And I must thank you, actually, for returning the favor. I can tell you, you've kept me up at night and my team as well. But it has been really worth it. It's been worth it because today I'm really excited to announce AstraZeneca's commitment to your vision for a healthy America. Great leadership is about having an ambitious vision that can energize people, and you appoint a very talented team that can deliver on this. Your vision is exactly that. It is about lowering the price of medicines for American patients while ensuring that America remains a global powerhouse of innovation in biopharmaceuticals. And that's not easy to do. We need to keep inventing the technologies and the products that will cure disease. But you actually gave us a key, equalization. That's an important word. Yeah. You've assembled a remarkable team, actually, that together with us found a way to deliver on your vision. I would like to thank you, Mr. President, for your collaborative and your trusting approach throughout the discussion that led to this agreement. In addition, I would like to thank Secretary Lutnick, I'd like to thank Secretary Kennedy, Dr. Oz, and the CMS team, in particular John Brooks, who is here today, but also Chris Klump, for their very straightforward approach and their collaborative work that, together with my great team at AstraZeneca, enabled us to deliver this agreement today. It is an agreement that allows a number of wins. First of all, a great win for American patients. This agreement will deliver improved access to our medicines at a lower cost. We've addressed the 4 points that you raised in your letter, ensuring Americans do not pay more than patients in other wealthy countries. So it's a big win for patients and the healthcare system as a whole. But it's also a big win for the economy and for taxpayers, because it supports rebalancing the cost of innovation across wealthy nations. For too long, America has shouldered a disproportionate portion of the world's R&D cost for breakthrough medicines development. That imbalance is not sustainable. It had to change. And equalization levels the playing field, with wealthy nations contributing their fair share to the cost and the risk associated with biopharmaceuticals R&D. And I would say it's also a big win for state budgets because these Medicaid price reductions will have an immediate impact on Medicaid budgets and provide substantial relief to state budgets. Finally, your vision also secures America's strong position in life sciences and the onshoring of critical innovations and manufacturing. As a company, we will invest $50 billion in manufacturing and in R&D. We already have a large presence in the United States. We have 19 sites, and we employ 25,000 people around the country. They're all developing the new generation of medicines. But we'll continue to increase our presence in this country. We're expanding our manufacturing footprint in Texas. We're building our second large R&D center in Kendall Square in Boston. We are building a cell therapy manufacturing plant in Rockville, Maryland, and there's more to come. So a lot of investment over the next few years. I want to say that I appreciate very much Secretary Lutnick granting us a 3-year tariff exemption to localize the remainder of our products. Most of our products are locally manufactured, but we need to transfer the remaining part to this country. And also for your great support to convince also other wealthy countries to share the cost of pharmaceutical innovation. It is an important part of this agreement, rebalancing and the cost around the country, around the world. Yesterday showcased our commitment to the United States with this $4.5 billion investment in the beautiful Commonwealth of Virginia to manufacture what we call API, active ingredients for our medicines, but also antibody-drug conjugates that are such a critical part of the future treatment of cancer care, what is called smart chemotherapy, targeted chemotherapy. I want to thank Dr. Oz for joining us for the groundbreaking ceremony near Charlottesville, together with Governor Youngkin. And I actually love your AstraZeneca hat. I know you wanted to bring a shovel, but didn't make it to this beautiful room. I have to say it has been a great pleasure to work with Governor Youngkin and his team, in particular Secretary Segura, on this investment. Like you, President Trump, they are deal makers that move at the speed of business. And it's very important for us company to be able to work with people who understand who we are and move very fast. Our new facility will be a great example of Virginia supporting domestic production of medicines for America, enhancing national security in pharmaceutical supply, but also creates thousands of highly skilled jobs. Governor Youngkin gave me a beautiful Virginia flag that we will proudly fly alongside the American flag in front of our new facility. So AstraZeneca's commitment to the United States is very strong, and this agreement ensures we'll make an even bigger difference for American patients. So, Mr. President, thank you again for welcoming me in this beautiful office and for making this moment possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Over to you, Glenn.
Well, first of all, I just want to thank everyone for celebrating this landmark moment. This landmark moment is not just a moment to announce a new way to buy less expensive life-saving medicine, but it is a step function change in the way that Virginians and Americans can access medicines. And it is a step function change because historically there was an opaque pricing mechanism that had so many people standing between the manufacturers and the patients that no one knew really what it cost. Well, now we can go direct to consumers. And that's what Trump RX is all about, going direct to consumers, where a consumer can come and find that particular medication that they need and go direct to the company and get the best possible price. Second of all, the most favored nation clause is a groundbreaking moment. It's a groundbreaking moment because, as you've heard, that American customers have been paying 3, 4, 5 times what international customers have been paying. That is just not fair. And Mr. President, I want to thank you for simply recognizing that America must come first. And Americans deserve the best pricing, not the worst. It changes everything for a state. In Virginia, we have $1.5 billion a year of pharmaceutical expenditure under our Medicaid plan. $1.5 billion a year. We save 10%, 20%. 30%. All of a sudden, 150, 300 million, 450 million in savings can be realized by a state. Now, I firmly believe that's the people's money, and it should go back in tax relief. But think about the change that that enables for a state as they manage their health care expenditures. Finally, Mr. President, you have driven a reshoring of critical supply chains that no one thought could happen. The industries that everyone thought were lost are now coming home, and with pharmaceutical manufacturing and active pharmaceutical ingredients particularly coming back to America, it changes everything. It's an economic moment for us. Yes, $4.5 billion into the Virginia economy, and that will in fact translate into $3 or $4 of extra economic impact for every dollar that is spent, 3,600 great paying jobs. But it's even more than that. This is a national security moment. And what you've just heard is one of the leading pharmaceutical companies in the world is choosing America, and yes, Virginia, to invest nearly $5 billion to build the most critical manufacturing for the future of America's health. That's not just a single example. It's happening all over. And in fact, in Virginia, Mr. President, we've been blessed with nearly $10 billion of commitments to build new pharmaceutical manufacturing in the great Commonwealth of Virginia. And therefore, I believe this is a moment to celebrate investment, but more importantly, to celebrate breakthroughs for American citizens to get access to life-saving medicines at costs that they deserve, because they're all made here. Mr. President, you and your cabinet have been amazing. As a governor, I have found that the cooperation with every one of your cabinet members, and sir, yes, you, has been beyond compare that I could ever imagine. I want to thank you for helping us make Virginia great again, too. Thank you.
So we have, at this moment, I think we just cracked $18 trillion in commitments and investments in our country. As an example, the last administration was far less than $1 trillion for 4 years. We're at plus $18 trillion for 8 months. There's never been anything like it in history, in any country, anywhere in the world. So that's great. But maybe for purposes of this, more importantly, we're going to bring drug prices down at numbers that nobody ever thought possible, Glenn. I think nobody ever even thought it was possible. So we're going to be doing a lot of business, but we're going to be also numbers that when you're 2, 3, 4, 500% less. I just noticed one of them over here, 654% discount. 654. The laggard is 98%, right? 9 is that what? Wow, 96, 230%, but 654, and we have some that top that by a lot. So it's really going to be incredible, and that's going to be so good for Medicaid and Medicare and everything. Frankly, for your life, it's going to be so good. So nobody ever thought they were going to see. And don't let Democrats take the credit, because they'll try. They'll say, "Oh, we worked so hard on it." They didn't work hard. They did. They obstructed. They actually did the opposite. So that's really more important than even the tremendous investments being made in our country. But think of it: we cracked 18 trillion with a T, trillion dollars, and frankly, 1 trillion for 4 years wasn't that bad. He did less than a trillion, but we did that in a period of 8 months. So it's pretty record-shattering by many trillions of dollars. Any country, no matter what country you're talking about, nobody's done numbers like that. So thank you all for being here. Do you want to have a couple of questions? Yeah, please.
Mr. President, one on this, if I could, and one on China, if I may. Okay. First on this, could you have brought these pharmaceutical companies to the table without that 100% tariff that you imposed?
Well, it's not 100%. You're talking about China might be 100%.
No, I'm talking about the 100% you imposed on pharmaceuticals for that sector.
I would never have been able to bring them. Now, I'm not sure that Pascal would like to say, but behind the scenes he did say tariffs were a big reason he came here, and also the fact he loved Virginia. He liked this guy. He liked me. I think the November 5th election was a very important date. We had a good election, and that was important. But yeah, he's here. A lot of. I can speak for almost everybody that's here. Most of them are here because of tariffs, because you have to understand he has no tariffs. If you build in this country, there are no tariffs. So.
I want to ask you about China, if I could. Just want to confirm: have you canceled your meeting with President Xi? And
no, I haven't canceled, but I don't know that we're going to have it. But I'm going to be there regardless, so I would assume we might have it. But they hit the world with something that really is not anything that people are going to do, and it was shocking. I can tell you, Howard and I and Todd, we all Scott, we were all speaking about it before. And we said, where did that come from? It was that was out of the blue, right? Out of the blue, they came up with this whole import-export concept, and nobody knew anything about it. So.
If they roll back their export controls, the new announcement, would you roll back?
Look, we're going to have to see what happens. That's why I made it November 1st. We'll see what happens, yeah.
Mr. President,
Go ahead, please.
What else besides software could be on the table in terms of export controls?
A lot more. I mean, you have software, but you have a lot more. We have airplanes. We have airplane parts. You remember that from last time. And we were just surprised at China. I have a very good relationship with President Xi, and they did that. This is not something that I, instigated. This was just a response to something that they did. And they didn't really aim it at us. They aimed it at the whole world. The whole world is subject to it. So I thought it was very, very bad. But we have many things, including a big thing is airplanes. They have a lot of Boeing planes, and they need parts and lots of things like that. Steve?
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to accept the Gaza deal, and what will be your message to the Knesset when you speak to them?
Well, he wanted it. It's been a long time. He's been fighting a long time. He's been fighting hard. He wanted it. It's a great deal for Israel, but it's a great deal for everybody, for Arabs, for Muslims, for everybody, for the world. And as you know, on Monday the hostages come back. They're getting them now. They're getting them now. They're in some pretty rough places under earth. They're in some pretty rough places where only a few people know where they are in some cases. So they're getting them, and they're also getting the bodies, approximately 28 bodies. And some of those bodies are being unearthed right now as we speak. They're working on it right now as we speak. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. No, he was very happy with it. And I can tell you that I saw Israel dancing in the streets, but they were dancing in Qatar and Saudi Arabia and UAE and many, many countries. I saw Egypt. They were dancing. I'll be going to Israel. I'll be speaking at the Knesset. I think, early on. And then I'm also going to Egypt. They were terrific. But all of the countries were great. Indonesia was great. Jordan was great. They were all great. Everybody wants this deal to happen.
What happens in Gaza the day after the hostage release?
Day after what?
The day after the hostage release, what happens there then?
Well, hopefully you're going to have great success I call it everlasting success. I think you will too. I think you're going to have tremendous success, and Gaza is going to be rebuilt. And you have some very wealthy countries, as you know, over there, and it would take a small fraction of their wealth to do that. But and I think they want to do it. And we're also setting up, as you know, a board of peace. It's called the Board of Peace. I don't know if that's the final name, but the word peace is definitely in there. They have asked me if I chair it. We'll make sure things go well.
And how confident are you that the ceasefire will hold?
I think it'll hold, yeah. I think it'll hold. They're all tired of the fighting. Don't forget, you had October 7th, which was a horrible day, 1,200 people killed. But Hamas has lost 58,000 people. That's big retribution. That's big retribution. People understand that. So, no, I think they're all tired of fighting. And this really gives the whole Middle East, this is beyond Gaza. Gaza is very important, but this is beyond Gaza. This is peace in the Middle East, and it is a beautiful thing. You know, it's a term that you and I have been hearing since we were very young, right? And now we have a chance of really having that. And as you know, most of the countries have passed all these resolutions. Every country is there. Iran came in. I was very happy to see that. I was very honored that Iran came in. They said they support it. Russia came in. President Putin, he supports it fully, very fully. So I was happy to see even countries that weren't necessarily involved in the process, they all support it. I don't know of anybody that doesn't. And I've never seen happier people than many of these places, not just Israel. Many of these places, they're all dancing in the streets. I've never seen anything like it. Okay, go ahead, please, in the back.
Thank you. What guarantee did you give Hamas to persuade them that Israel will restart the bombing campaign once the hostages have been exchanged?
What did I do with respect to them? Well, you know, I spoke a little bit tough, and that's what would happen. I mean, you have to speak tough. That's a tough world. That's a tough, as they say, neighborhood. And they're tough people. They're very tough people, and they're smart people. They're good negotiators. They have a lot of things going. They put that to good use. They're going to be very, very successful. But they knew the retribution would be tremendous, unsustainable. It would have been unsustainable. It would have been complete obliteration, and they didn't want that. And nobody wants it at this point. They want. It's easy to work something out, but then sometimes it doesn't work from a practical standpoint. So certain little things, but for the most part, there's consensus. Yes.
Do you intend to hash that out when you're in Egypt?
I might. Yeah. I mean, I'll be there because I'll be going to. I think I'll go to Cairo. I think that's where we're going, as opposed to the place of the signing. And we have a lot of leaders from all over the world coming too. I know they've been invited. And then I'm coming back. I believe it's Tuesday night for Charlie Kirk, a friend of mine, a friend of all of ours, a friend of a lot of the people right here. And we're giving him the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is the highest honor you get outside of the Congressional Medal of Honor. One's military, one's civilian, but it's the greatest honor. And Erica's beautiful wife is going to be here, and a lot of people are going to be here. So, it's not easy for me to get back. It's a very quick trip, but I'll be making 2 major stops, and then I'll be on the plane trying to get back in time for Charlie. They're going to have a great celebration at the White House, in the East Room of the White House.
Mr. President. Russell Vogt said the reductions in force have begun related to this shutdown. How many layoffs have you authorized for this first round, and from which agencies?
And it will be Democrat-oriented, because we figure, they started this thing, so they should be Democrat-oriented. It'll be a lot, and we'll announce the numbers over the next couple of days, but it'll be a lot of people, all because of the Democrats. I mean, they want to give $1.5 trillion to people that came into the country illegally. More important than that, because we all have a big heart. We want people to be taken care of, but we have 0 people coming in. You know that, Glenn, right? That's a pretty impressive number, even for a successful governor. but we've had for the last 4 months 0 people coming in illegally. They're coming in, but they're coming in legally. They're coming in through a process that's really a really good process right now, because we want people to come in, but they have to come in legally. So what we're doing is, as these different groups come due, we're going to make a determination. Do we want them or not? And I must tell you, a lot of them happen to be Democrat-oriented. These are people that the Democrats wanted that in many cases were not appropriate. We fought them at the time, and it was ultimately signed in. And some of these people, these are largely people that the Democrats want. Many of them will be fired. Yes, please, behind.
The Nobel Peace Prize was announced this morning. Your thoughts?
Which one?
The Nobel Peace Prize. Your thoughts?
Look, including a very big one, and I'm not sure, when you say big, it's certainly, I think, to the mind of most, the most important deal ever made in terms of peace. But the one we just signed, it's been signed, sealed, and it's going to start taking place now. It's already started. Monday's going to be a very big day when the hostages come back. But I made 8 deals, transactions of wars. One was 31 years going on. 10 million people were killed. One was 34 years. One was 36, 37. One was 10. One was just starting. 2 were just starting, actually, but they were well on their way. In the case of India and Pakistan, 7 planes were shot down. It was a bad one. And I did it largely through trade. I mean, that one, numerous of them. I talked tariffs. I said, look, if you're going to do that, we're going to put very big tariffs on your country. And they were both great. They stopped fighting, and there were 2 nuclear powers. So, they're all big. They're every one of them big. You take a look at the Congo. You take a look at the Congo and Rwanda. 10 million people killed over a long period of time. Got that one solved. We did a total of 8 as of this. 2 days ago, I would have said 7, which I did say, but the other one was signed up, sealed. As you know, Israel signed it just now. They signed it and they approved it today, their parliament. And it's a great honor to be involved with so many. So the person who actually got the Nobel Prize called me and said, I'm accepting this in honor of you because you really deserved it. A very nice thing to do. I didn't say then give it to me, though. I think she might have. She was very nice. And I've been helping her along the way. They need a lot of help in Venezuela. It's a basic disaster. So, and you could also say it was given out for 24, and I was running for office in 24. All of the transactions that we did in terms of closing. But there are those that say we did so much that they should have done it. But I'm happy because I saved millions of lives. Many millions of lives. And speaking of somebody that saves lives, don't ever play golf with him, because Keegan Bradley just walked in, one of the greatest golfers in the world, the captain of the Ryder Cup. And, man, I'll tell you, you did a good job. You almost came back. I turned on. I said, I sort of turned off. It wasn't looking good. And then a little while later, I turned on. I said, you guys might that would have been the miracle. What a great job. He's respected by those golfers like nobody. And I just want to compliment you, Keegan. That was a incredible job. Right here we have a lot of unfriendly fake news media, and he's not used to that. He's used to getting only good publicity, I think, Howard. These are all golfers. But you're some golfer, I'll tell you that, and some leader. Thank you very much. Great job. Thank you, Keegan.
Mr. President, on China.
Yeah, please.
On immigration, ICE are making arrests, targeted arrests at courthouses in New York City and around the country.
Criminals, arresting criminals, that's right. Yeah, go ahead. I'm happy about it. I want them to arrest criminals. And if you take a look at D.C., a year ago, D.C. was our great capital was a very unsafe place. You know that. Some of you were mugged and talk openly about it. Some of the media was mugged. But right now, D.C. is one of the safest places in the whole country. The restaurants are booming. They're opening up new restaurants. The restaurants are all closing. Now you can't get into a restaurant. They're opening up new restaurants. It took 12 days for us. We sent in not politically correct military. We sent them in based on merit. We won the case in the Supreme Court. Everything now is based on merit. Our country was founded on things based on merit. Like Keegan Bradley is not going to be playing golf if he wasn't a great player. If he shoots lower scores, boy, there's no more merit system than that one, Keegan, right? If you miss a putt, they don't say, oh, that's okay, let's take it again, do they? No, it's based on merit. Everything's based on merit. And we're back to the merit system. And when they saw that military is all about merit. They're big, strong people that they're patriots too. And you take a look at D.C., and now we're in Memphis, and Memphis was really crime-ridden. It was terrible. A lot of people being killed. And they say in 12 days, they can't even believe how much better it is. And it'll take probably a month over there. And we're heading to Chicago because we want to save Chicago. Do you know they had over 4,000 people killed in Chicago over a short 4,000 people. And I have to watch this slob of a governor stand up and say that, well, everything's okay. We've got it under control. They had 4,000 people murdered over a very short period of time. There's not a city in the world, I don't believe, that can claim, you hear so much about different, I won't, embarrass anybody, like by saying Mexico City or by saying anywhere in Afghanistan. There's no place like that. And then I have to listen to the mayor who's got a 5% approval rate, maybe less. He's an incompetent man. And the governor's an incompetent guy. He's a guy that was thrown out of his family business like a dog. And I know his family very well. And now he's a governor. And when I watch him trying to say that it's okay, we have crime under control, I lost 4,000 people over a very short period of time. I believe it's like 7,000 people were shot but didn't die. But 4,000 people died. And then he gets up and talks about how it's not a problem. Or Portland, Oregon. I mean, every time I look at that place, the place is burning down. There's fires all over the place. When a store owner, there are very few of them left, but when a store owner rebuilds a store, they build it out of plywood, and they don't put up storefronts anymore. They just put wood up because they know it's going to be ripped down. And then I hear how wonderful it is. It's not wonderful. It's a disaster. That's almost an insurrection, that place. So we put our people in there, and they do the job, and they've really done the job. And the beautiful thing is we've done it. 12 days we had this place safe, and now it's, I would say within a month, it was beautiful. And it continues to be. That was 3 months ago. I'll tell you, D.C. now is one of the hottest places, just like this country. We were a dead country, and you've heard me say it 100 times. We were a dead country. King of Saudi Arabia said it. Others say. The Emir of Qatar said it. Many. UAE said it. The leader, great leader, UAE, all great leaders. They said effectively the same thing. 1 year ago, we had a dead country. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. I just want to thank everybody, and I want to, in particular, thank AstraZeneca. What a great company you have. What a company you've built. You've been there a long time and done some job. It's an honor to have you. I assume you're going to build, so it's $4.5 billion for a plant. That's a pretty big plant, isn't it? I was going to say, could he make it a little bit more? Well, we have a couple of them where they're going to spend $65 billion on one plant, AI. All I know is it's, AI is based on information. I hope they're right about information. I don't know. You got to make a lot of money there's got to be a lot of information out there, but that seems to be pretty hot. But we have a lot. We're leading the world on information on AI, as you know, by a lot. It's not even close. So we're doing a job. And I want to thank everybody, but in particular, Pascal, thank you very much. It's a great honor. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Have a good time.
Thank you, Press. Thank you, Press. Let's go. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Press.
All right, so President Trump is, I guess we'd say he was debuting Trump RX. In case some of you guys aren't aware of what exactly he's talking about when he talks about most favored nations, meaning if you charge England $25 for a drug, yet you've been charging America $75 for the drug, we have to be able to buy that drug at the same price as any other country can as well. So most favored nation, they refer to it as MFN, like MF Nancy, most favored nation, and that will drive drug prices down. How long will it take? Because I saw some people in a comment, when is it going to happen? Well, just like anything else, if you're drilling for oil today, it's not like oil prices are going to go down tomorrow. So basically, start shopping, start seeing where it's going to go down. It will go down pretty quick, that's for sure. A lot of people, because this stuff is so up here, and with everything going on with China and the stock market today, smart people are looking at Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday going, yeah, this is going to be a fun. Just careful with what you do out there. But I like the idea that he's actually trying something that Biden administration never did. Before we go, I want to talk to you guys about Chapter. Chapter is one of our sponsors here and talking about cheaper drugs and cheaper health insurance. This is just for you guys here who participate and watch our show, the Fanfare Community. You are well aware, it's Medicare annual enrollment time. I've said before, I can't stand it that you have to do something right now, but this is the system that there is. And as a newly turned 65-year-old person myself, that means I'm getting buried under the same spam calls and crazy emails that everybody else is getting. But they are starting to die down. I have also learned that Medicare plans change every year. Didn't know that. I guess most of us who weren't 65, there's no way we would have known that. Apparently, some even disappear. Didn't know that either. So for those of us that love our plans today, it might not be the best one for 2026. And if you don't double check, you could lose coverage for doctors or prescriptions that you count on. To make matters worse, most Medicare agents are just pushing the plans that pay them the biggest commissions. That's why I recommend Chapter for the Fanfare Community. They check every single plan in America to make sure it's the right one for you. And they can save you, on average, $1,100 a year. Excuse me. But if you're not someone who's looking for a bargain, but you rather have Cadillac-style coverage, they can do that for you as well. And it's very easy. All you have to do is just give them a call. It's a 20-minute free phone call, and they can check what kind of plan you're on. They check every single plan in America. They make it dead simple for you. They'll review your options in under 20 minutes. If you're already on the right plan, you're done. If not, they'll help you switch if you'd like to. So get some peace of mind during this enrollment period. Remember, the enrollment period is right now. Call Chapter at 475-328-3545 and make sure you're set going into 2026. And I just want to thank the guys from Chapter for that information. All right, so a lot to unpack there. SV had sent me this. Just to guys, some people are wondering what the heck happened with the stock market today, and why was it the way why did it respond the way that it did? So let me show this to you. And this was at 4:50 p.m. It had just been learned that China has taken an extraordinarily aggressive position on trade in sending an extremely hostile letter to the world stating they were going to, effective on November 1st, 2025, impose large-scale export controls on virtually every product they make, and some not even made by China. This affects all countries without exception and was obviously a plan devised by them years ago. It is absolutely unheard of in international trade and a moral disgrace in dealing with other nations. Based on the fact that China has taken this unprecedented position and speaking just for the United States and not for other nations who were similarly threatened, starting November 1st, or sooner, depending upon any further actions or changes taken by China, the United States of America will impose a tariff of 100% on China over and above any tariff that they're currently paying. Also on November 1st, we will impose an export controls on any and all critical software. It is impossible to believe that China would have taken such an action, but they have, and the rest is history. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. Not sure what China's trying to do, But here, as we're just getting into the holiday season, just getting into Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Kwanzaa, and Festivus, and everything else, people buy a lot of crap from China. They know that. They know right now Americans will be spending a lot of money in the next 2 months. A crap load of money. And a lot of it, I would bet probably the overwhelming amount of it is on stuff from China. So right now, go ahead, gird your loins, take a deep breath. You are probably going to see stuff from China go up a lot. Maybe even twice what you're paying for it right now. It's going to be extremely expensive to buy stuff in China. So you got to look on the back and go, made in China, you're going to pay more. So what's your alternative? Your alternative at this point is to buy American. None of what I just read to you, none of what's going on in the stock market should matter if you start buying American. That's your answer. If you don't want to pay a whole lot more for stuff coming from China, find those products that you are thinking about as presents, and make sure you can either get them in the United States or you get them before November 1st. Today is October 10th. If you know you were waiting on a purchase, like even me here, looking at lights and things, I don't even know where these things are made, but if they're made in China, you're going to have to think twice about it. You got 3 weeks to get things in order before they go up substantially if you're buying stuff that's coming in from China. So be forewarned. Don't get caught with your pants down again. This is one of those instances where you need to be skating to where the puck is. You know that puck is moving, and on November 1st, all hell is going to break loose. So be ready. Be absolutely ready. Much of China's products are junk. Yep. Exactly. Get that big jug of... You guys crack me up. Get that big dish of soy sauce now. Five and dime stores are going to go out of business. All they sell is Chinese crap. Yeah, I don't know what Dollar General and all those stores are going to do. That's going to be bad. Now American is cheaper. Thank you, China. Buy American. That's what you're going to have to do. So it's going to take some effort because you're used to doing things a certain way, and now you're introducing something else where it's like, let me look. Let me compare. Is this from China? Is it America? Maybe it's from a different country that's not being tariffed. But you're going to have to look because November 1st, it's going to hit the fan. No more Temu. Nope. Check your stuff on Amazon as well. My wife buys cheap Chinese crap from TJ Maxx. Not anymore. Not in the next couple weeks. I was always wondering why Amazon didn't do a USA section. So you can find them. Yep, support your local people. Exactly, Beth. The $1.25 store is China's good. Oh yeah, Dollar Tree is going to be a $10 tree now. It's going to jump. It's going to be a lot more expensive. Just know it. I mean, we're making fun and having a laugh here, but you guys now know. Maybe your friends, family, coworkers don't know because they're not paying attention to this. You now know. Now, there's something else you know too. You just saw that from President Trump. You know what China's doing, so you know right now that Chinese products are going to be a lot more expensive. Similarly, you now know that manufacturers in America are going to be more appealing to different kinds of buyers, and people are looking for presents in the holiday season. So maybe it might be worth doing some research on some companies that are going to benefit from China being asshole, if you get my drift. Because now there's going to be a few companies in America that are like, oh, this is going to be fantastic. This is going to be awesome. People are going to be looking for American goods. Just think. tariffs on Sombrero Tima. And again, all of this is happening while the government's still shut down. I have an interview that I'm going to play for you probably tomorrow with a Congressman, Tim Moore from North Carolina. And what President Trump, not President Trump, what Mike Johnson said in that call was exactly true. This no kings thing that they're doing all over again, they expect on holding the government hostage until at least October 18th. You know this now. You know they're going to keep the government closed till probably in excess of October 18th. You know on November 1st the prices are going to go up on Chinese stuff. Be ready. Arm yourself. No, literally. Because crazy. Absolutely crazy. All right, I'm a little behind, but congratulations on the press invite. Thank you very much. And again, I apologize that thing over here was decided he wanted to break bad while I'm on the call, and thankfully they didn't hear anything, but it still picked up on my recording on my end. So I apologize, but I thought I had him contained. And then it was when I saw that it was coming up to my question, I'm like, get out, get the hell out of here. That's my boy though. He's my boy. All right, so it's Friday night. Let me go ahead and do let me check and see if there's any super chats in here. There's still so much stuff going on out there in the news. Antifa has basically decided they're gonna declare war on America, or do their own civil war thing. It's crazy. So I don't even know what tomorrow's going to bring. We shall see. And the grandson's in town tomorrow, so I'm going to be very, very, very busy. So I'm hoping that I can possibly squeeze a show in or something, because that's just what I want to do. Okay, here we go. All right. Pulaski, here we go. Boom. Play dominoes with the auntie. Are you from the islands? You from Jamaica, man? My dad loved to play dominoes. Fazul, firings galore, trading slippers for work shoes. Robert Petruska, are you going to take Midas to the White House? No, he's going to stay his sorry butt right there in his little bed right there. Neo Charm, the MO is how the German party overtook the German National Socialist Party after merging with them. My grandparents lived through hell. KRO, thank you, brother, towards your tuxedo for the opening of the White House ballroom. Yeah, now we actually got to speak to the third highest ranking political official in the country. I was like, ooh, there's president, there's vice president, and then there's Speaker of the House. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm good with that. And thank you to Ashley for setting that up. Nancy Jennings, God bless. I wish Rush Limbaugh was here to weigh in. He would have so much to say. Barry, you're my Rush. Oh, wow. Thank you very much. Ann Bass, love my fanfare family. Thank you. Thank you very much. Eric Grant, AZN stock is all over the place. Is that Amazon? I think it's Amazon. It better, because there's all kinds of stuff from China that they sell. Lupe Murillo, please keep all the time info on your site for your advertisers. Trying to order, don't have info. What are you trying to order? Most of the mods have the links, and I'm at my second location here, so I don't know if I even have I know you can go to learberry.com if you're looking for Lear, but that you can go there. Cutting edge. Oh no, please not the Muslims. They accomplished the goal of global domination. Believe me, day after I started to see more videos. Yes, it's volatile times right now. Kim Hansen. Sorry, this deal sucks. We got 20 live people. They get 200 prisoners. That's horse poop. It is what it is. For the greater good type thing. Favowski, nothing to say, he is my president. Lujek Martinez, Big Barry moving to Tampa next year? Oh, congratulations. Congratulations, you're coming down to Tampa. Larry 1754, FYI, Portland is not burning down. My daughter lives there. Says 99% of the city goes on about their lives as usual. Only problem are a couple of square blocks around the ICE facility. Now you know. I'm going to come back to that in a second. Lou Jack, conservative book club coming to East Coast, Florida. Okay. And Tilly, thank you, congratulations. So what Larry is saying is actually true. It's actually true in most of the cities. It's true in Portland. It's true in Chicago. It's true in Cleveland, Detroit, Baltimore. You can draw a circle around where the problems are. But that's the problem. You see, where that circle is, they're wreaking havoc. And where those circles are, it's causing drugs to go out into the suburbs. It's causing car theft. It's causing all kinds of different things. Because this circle, like you said, 99% of Portland is probably doing fine, but you're leaving this area uncontrolled, which gives the bad guys the ability to do things in your city. Whether it's moving kids, whether it's trafficking women, whether it's trafficking weapons, whatever it is, you can't have that giant beehive just doing whatever it wants, and then people just drive around the area and don't go there because they know. You just outlined the actual problem. I mean, and that's been the way the entire time. And people say that. They say things like, oh, it's just a little area in town. Yeah, it's called the ghetto. We all know where those areas are. Even back in the 60s when they were having riots, we knew where they were. We knew where Watts was. It wasn't in Malibu. It was right here in Watts. But you can't let those things fester like a boil. You can't do that. And so when you have to wonder is why are they okay with it? I mean, your comment was very interesting. And your comment was, Portland is not burning down. My daughter lives there, says 99% of the city goes on their lives as usual. Think about what you just said. Most of the city just goes on with their lives as usual. That means they don't want to even pay attention. Oh, that's over there. Let them deal with that. I don't go down to Smith and Jones Street. I don't go down to Martin Luther King Boulevard. I don't drive through there. How is that fair to the people who live in those areas? That the rest of the people are like, hey, what? It's fine here. I'm doing well. I'm going to go play golf. I'm going to do... Meanwhile, there's people who live there. See, I don't know how many of you have spent time in the hood, have talked to people in the hood. When we have the ladies on from Chicago Flips Red, what is so interesting is these are people who actually live in those neighborhoods that most people would never have a chance or want to even talk to because they're going about their business out here. It's fine. Look, there's nothing happening. How is it fair to those people to just let that happen? And that's where you got to ask that question. I'm not going to get too deep with it, but just understand why do you allow it? To me, it's crazy, and I just don't think it's right. I don't think it's right at all. But without being a Debbie Downer, it is the weekend. I want you guys to have a good time. My grandson is coming here bright and early tomorrow. Got to pick him at the airport. Not sure if or when I'll be able to do a show tomorrow because we got all kinds of activities going on. But if I can sneak one in, I certainly will. And then we'll see. We'll find out. All right. Talk to you guys hopefully tomorrow.
Thank you.